What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. Oh, hold on, let me switch that up. Can y'all hear me well? What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning into another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. It is Monday, May 1st, 2023, year of our Lord. Shout out to all of my friends and family in the chat. We're going to do a great show today. Lots of information, tons of information, lots of things that we need to go over. But let me start off with the obvious, right? You guys know that I am back from the Dominican Republic, and I'm feeling absolutely phenomenal, rejuvenated. I've had some time to think, put some things together, also sit with my thoughts, and then go over a lot of things from a business perspective. So I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of that with you guys today. In addition to that, make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. And then also, today is the first day of the month. Now, everybody and their mother knows that on the first day of the month is the best day to make sure that you tapping into the bag chasers. Now, just to get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way, and then we're going to get into the super chats because I see Q. I see Pat Fobbs is in the building. I see a lot of my friends and family. Let's get the housekeeping out of the way, and then we're going to get right into the show because I got a lot of information that I want to share with you guys. And I think that you're absolutely going to enjoy what it is that we have presented for you today. Get a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. In addition to that, make sure you guys tap into the Patreon because the best day to join the Bag Chasers is at the beginning of the month. Now, let me tell you a couple of the different things that I have coming up with regard to the Patreon. Tomorrow, we have a webinar. We have a live webinar tomorrow where I will go over and I will break down to you how it is that you need to be moving when it comes to social media and getting this bag, all right? This is the perfect time to do so because it is still the beginning of the year, still the first half of the year. I'm going to show you the receipts of everything that I made last month. It is well over six figures. And I'm going to break down for you the strategy of how it is that you can leverage the information and the things that I've learned, been through, modified, and then continue to reform in order to continue to be successful. So if you are not a part of the Patreon, you're really missing out, okay? If you're not a part of the Patreon, you're really missing out. Shout out to my dog, Classy Beats, Hard Body Tie. I'm going to be going over Super Chat shortly. Secondly, we have a Patreon meetup this weekend. We might have to pivot for the event because apparently there's going to be hundreds of you there. And when I say hundreds, I mean hundreds of you there. So I might have to change the venue a third time. I've been having conversations with Q. Q going to be there. Rita going to be there. We all going to be there. We're going to have a great time. So make sure you stay tapped into the Patreon for the latest updates of what it is that we're doing this weekend in Dallas. We're going to be traveling, hitting city to city, state to state, almost every single month in order to add as much value to you as we possibly can. All right. That's the second thing. Third, make sure you tap into the Patreon because there is no better Patreon on the face of this earth. And there is nobody that shows more receipts than me. I'm going to continue to put up the receipts. I'm going to continue to show the receipts. And I'm going to continue to show you all of my back end as far as the money that we make so that I can give you insight on how it is that you can leverage the same information and do it much quicker than I was able to do it because it took me a while to get there. I had to go through the bullets so that you guys wouldn't have to in order to make sure that we get this bag. All right. So y'all ready to get into the show? Because I got a lot to go over today. I have a lot to talk about. I've been holding a lot in because I was in the Dominican Republic last week with my family. And then, we had the weekend and all of that. So I just been chilling, observing, kicking it, keeping y'all update. Make sure y'all follow me on Twitter. Make sure y'all following me on Instagram and all of that, right? So let me read some of these super chats and then we're going to get it popping with the show. I got to start off with Q. Q says, shout out to Anton Daniels. Keep being the person you are and striving for more. Your success will keep going upward in greatness. Rita and I have a plan on where we are going this weekend. Congrats, Les, on your competition. Leslie was in the Dominican Republic with us, and she won gold, so she's a part of the USA team. So shout out to my shooter, one of the most loyal people that I've ever met in my entire life, Q. I keep telling her to stop sending me super chats, but Q is crazy. So shout out to Q. I love Q. Q is, I was born with all boys, right? It was me, my younger brother, and my two older brothers. Q is the sister that grew up with all of the fellas. Like Q is that's my sister. That's my baby girl. She can do no wrong in my eyes. So even when she do wrong, she can do no wrong in my eyes. Now I may have a conversation with her on the back end, but you can't say nothing about her. So Q is loyal. She loves me, and I love her back, and I absolutely adore her. So shout out to Q. Pat Fobb says, good morning. I woke up for work to find out that someone crashed into my work van so hard that it was on the sidewalk, highly stressed, so I need a good laugh. Oh, you're going to get a lot of funny times and a lot of information today, big dog. Hey, pray for Pat Fobbs. Hopefully everything works out. We love you, Pat. We got you in our prayers, big dog. Shout out to the Bag Chasers. Hard Body Ty says your Patreon is gold. Might be platinum. You know what I'm saying? The Patreon is gold. Shout out. Can we get a round of applause for all of the new Bag Chasers? Can we get a round of applause for all of the new Bag Chasers? Shout out to Hard Body Ties in the building. I don't know about that picture, big dog. Elliot Jackson says, banking app wondering what's going on with all of these super chats. Had to call them and let them know I'm paying for game. Keep preaching, big dog. Shout out to Elliot Jackson in the building. Strayus Atreus says, let me pay my ties. Shout out to you. Xavier M says, just a bag chaser paying dues. Shout out to all of my bag chasers. Moved my live show to the evening so I can watch this show. Hey, shout out to the people that see the value in what it is that we doing here in the Bag Chasers. I appreciate that. Elliot Jackson says, also, I need to move some things around for that meetup. Definitely need a dinner with you to get some ideas out. Anybody that need to get in touch with me, email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com. Or if you're a bag chaser, you can send me a message inside of the Patreon. We respond to all of those ASAP. All right, shout out to my people. I'm going to be reading super chats throughout the day. Shout out to everybody that continues to hold me down. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Let's get into the show. All right. So, some of you may have noticed that I did not play the Teach Hanley commercial on the beginning of this live stream. One of the reasons that I did not play the Teach Hanley commercial on the beginning of this live stream is because I had a conversation with the Teach Hanley reps over the weekend, and I told them, I said, the price of the brick just went up. I did the Marlowe on them. I said the price of the brick has went up. The way that we had structured our initial deals, and this actually leads right into the whole conversation about me being De-Peef'd, right? Or De-Peef'd. You know how they say De-Peef'd? The way that we had structured the deal, Teach Hanley had reached out to us separately. So the Lapeef network had a Teach Hanley deal. I had a completely separate Teach Hanley deal. And me being the loyal brother that I am, I said, listen, I'm not going to do a separate thing, right? We're going to combine forces, and regardless of how much I promote and I sell, or regardless of what happens over there at the Lapeef network, we going to make sure that we bust this bag down together, right? We're not going to separate it. And so all of the bags, in most instances, I split it with my brothers, right? That's how I do it, right? The way that I do it is, and anybody that's ever worked for me personally, now the contracts that happen over there is completely different than what it is that I do with my people. Anybody that's ever rocked with me on Fight Club, anybody that's ever rocked with me on the Anton Daniels channel, anybody that I've ever brought in for an interview, they can say a lot of things about what my views are towards running in the Victim Olympics and things like that. But the one thing that they will never, ever be able to say is that Anton is not absolutely positively a team player, and that he makes sure that everybody eats, B. Everybody eat, B. And so what I did was I said, listen, we're not going to split it up. We're going to use the same link, and we're going to bust this bag down together. Now, the price of the brick is absolutely different now, right? So we going back to the table. We have some additional sponsors that's waiting in the wings. And we're going to renegotiate the deal because I am going to move completely separate on my own, which leads me into the conversation. And thank y'all for the super chats. I'm definitely going to be reading those shortly, which leads me into the conversation, right? When we first started Lapeef, right? Well, let me revise that. When I first started getting involved with the Lapeef network, okay? When I first started getting involved with the Lapeef network, and what you see right here is one of the early episodes, right? Is one of the early episodes. And what you see here is JR, me, Tawana, and B Nix. This was basically the original crew. Now, Lapeef Network started off on Facebook. And it was like a couple of episodes. And it was JR, B Nix, or not the Lapeef Network, Lapeef Let's Talk. It was JR, B Nix, and it was another guy. And I forgot the other guy's name. But they was all like just sitting at a table. And it was like 1 or 2 episodes. And they like had a Facebook group and everything like that, right? And basically what happened was they just had a couple of different things, and it just was what it was. I was popping. I had just had a video that went viral on YouTube. I had just got a video that went viral on YouTube. As a matter of fact, it was one of the highest, not anymore, but at the time, it was one of the highest viewed videos on YouTube. And it had been basically about me breaking down my life, what was going on. It was a gambling video, and so I was breaking down a high roller lifestyle. So way before any of the Lapeef Network or Millionaire Morning Show or anything like that, I was living his life, right? I was breaking down and I was showing y'all on, private planes and traveling different places and the type of money I was spending and the bags that I was busting down. And I went viral because I was basically communicating to people what it took in order to reach certain levels within the gambling industry and the type of people and different types of rich people and stuff like that. Now, that video did like 1.7 million views. And then I had another video that went viral right before that, and it did like 700,000 immediately on YouTube. So I had ascended to where I had got like 50,000, like 50-something thousand subscribers by the time that video had went off. Now, I had been making other videos, urban explorations. I was buying motorcycles, Jeeps. I had started working on a restaurant. And JR had hit me up. He had hit me up on Instagram, right? And so he reached out to me and he like, yo, fam, I like your Jeep. I got a Jeep too. I'm from Chicago or whatever. And so we just kind of naturally started going back and forth and having different conversations. And so we was on the phone together. I was pouring into him. And I was adding a lot of value into his life. And I was trying to give him the game on social media and how to manage certain businesses. And he had certain ideas that he wanted to go over and so on and so forth. And I'm like, cool. So we just kind of started having a genuine conversation. And this is how me and JR met. He DM'd me. We started talking on Instagram. He wanted me to check out what it was that he had going on Facebook. So I checked out Facebook. And that's when, I discovered what he was trying to build, or, a couple of episodes of him, B Nix, and the other guy just talking around the table, having a conversation, right? And then he was like, yo, why don't you show up I don't know if he invited me to show up on an episode, or I'm like, yo, I'll turn up if you want me to. If you need me to, I'll turn his mug out, right? But anyways, he brought me on, and I just showed up. You know what I'm saying? I just did it on the fly, just on some love type junk. I already knew I had a following. I already knew what I was doing. I already knew what the direction of what my life was going in. And so I turned up. But we were streaming it exclusively on Facebook, right? In the Facebook group. So I immediately caused a wave. Like because, I was very controversial. I was very matter of fact. The same way that I am now is how I was on that. And it upset a lot of the women and the feminists that was in the group and all of that. But it was a hit. Like you could see that it was a hit, right? B Nix was on there, JR was on there, and there was another girl. And then later we brought Tawana on there. And then I was like, yo, we need to get away from this Facebook shit. We need to be focused on YouTube. And JR was like, I don't know if we want to alienate the Facebook people. And I told him straight up, I said, yo, if the Facebook people really rock with you like that, then they'll follow us over to YouTube, but we just gonna do this YouTube thing exclusively, right? So that's a general idea of the breakdown of what basically it was when we first started creating this thing, right? So we just organically got together. We did it on YouTube. I dedicated myself, in which I never, ever, ever missed a Thursday. Through all of the different things that happened, different people left. B Nix was like, yo, I just wanted to come in and show some love. This is not a long-term thing for me now. I don't want it to affect what I got going on in corporate America or academia or whatever. So he decided, he dipping. And throughout the history of it, we just made a bond, and we was like, listen, no matter what happens, if we beef, if we get into it, the different people that's going to come and go, we still got us. Like, all we need is us to make sure that we continue to build this thing. And so that was the objective. And now a lot of you guys are familiar with the history of it. Different people came, different people gone. A lot of people, came in for the wrong reasons. Some people came in for the right reasons. And we made history. There's a lot of people that I don't believe even would even exist, or you would have visibility into, if you have never known what it was that we did, right? So we made history, right? Monetized. I remember at one point, it was during a mirror stream on a Sunday, and JR hit me up and he said, yo, we got a problem, right? And I'm like, what's going on? We lost the channel. This is facts. We lost the channel, right? A lot of y'all remember it. Some of y'all was around, some of y'all wasn't. And I said, oh man. So we went through this campaign. He was very emotional about it. I was very emotional about it because this was our baby. This was something that we had built together, and we had lost the channel because somebody had came up during a live stream and they had like flashed or did some kind of, whatever inappropriate stuff. And immediately it was like a hit, and immediately the channel went down. And so, we went on a campaign, and that's where the Lapeef Experience channel came from, because that was actually JR's personal channel. It was like his vlogging channel. But then I was like, listen, and this is honest to God truth. I'm just giving y'all a little bit of insight of what goes on behind the scenes and how dedicated that I was and how dedicated we were into building the brand, right? So when we lost the channel, I didn't trip. I said, listen, both of my channels was approaching 100,000 subscribers, both this and the Millionaire Morning Show and the Anton Daniels channel was getting to the point to where they both were eclipsing 100,000 subscribers on both of them. And the Lapeef network at that time, I think it was at like 70 something or something like that. And I said, listen, don't worry about it. And he said, what do you mean? I said, don't worry about it. I said, worst case scenario, what we'll do is I will give you my channel. I will give you one of my channels. This is 100% facts. I said, worst case scenario, I'm so dedicated to making sure that you successful, because I always know that anything I touch is going to be gold. I was willing to make the sacrifice. I was willing to be the bad guy. I was willing to say the unpopular thing in order to create the entertainment. I was willing to get it popping. And it was authentically what I really felt, but it was the things that people were unwilling to say or talk about because they were so worried about their image, right? And so I did what it took in order to make sure that we successful, right? And I said, listen, if anything happened, I will give my channel and we will rebrand it over to the new Lapeef Let's Talk or the new Lapeef Network, and you can have it. This is 100% facts. 100% facts. I was willing to do anything it took. Eat, sleep, breathe, prioritize, made sure that the brand was what it was, right? Here's the thing, right? A lot of people want this to be a negative thing. And the reason why I went through the history of it is because there's a lot of new people that have now came into the fold and they just now discovering the channel and they know about all of the just pearly things and stuff like that. And they think it's that, right? They think is that. They don't know that I was driving or I went over into Chicago during COVID in order to build with them. They don't know that. They don't know that I was really over there, right? They don't know the different wars and the things that we went through and the different conversations and all of that, right? They don't know the dedication that I put into me personally. I can't speak for nobody else. They don't know the dedication of what it took in order for us to make sure that the loyalty, the love, right? When we first started making money on that channel, I said, yo, I don't need nothing. Not a payment anyways. The business side of it is completely different. But as far as like paying me versus making sure that everybody was looked out for, I don't need nothing. Right? Loyalty, dedication, love, the whole 9 yards, right? Now, obviously, we split responsibilities, and I'm not going into the business side of it. But I only went through all of that just to show you or give you a little bit of insight and information on the history behind what it was that we built together. Right? We built this from the ground up through thick and thin. We wound up getting the channel back. We revamped the other channel, that's the Lapeef experience now. That's, you know, it is what it is. It's went its own direction. We started giving people different platforms and all of that, right? Now, let's get into the thing that y'all really want to know or that y'all really inquiring about. Because I even see it's, you know, coming up in the chat. Is there beef? Absolutely, positively not. Never has been, never will be. At all. It's 100% a business decision. 100%. I have no animosity whatsoever. Let me tell you how it came about. I'm in the Dominican Republic and we chilling. And you know, being out of the country and being, you know, in a different space kind of puts you in this zone where you get to making sure that everything is aligned according to the direction of your life. And more than a month and a half ago, maybe almost 2 months ago, right? I had made the decision that I wanted to move on from being on panels because I had dedicated my life to it. I had done it for over 3 years, unmissed, building a platform, working behind the scenes, making sure everything is taken care of on the business side. All of that, right? I dedicated my entire life. I was willing to give up my own channel when we had lost that channel in order to continue the vision and the growth of what it was that we originally thought that this thing could be. It was time for me to move on to bigger things, right? I started getting different opportunities, the whole 9 yards, right? It is what it is. It was time to move on. So, you know, when I'm in the Dominican Republic, obviously, you know, we talking about different stuff and we talking about business. And I don't talk about business as it relates to Lapeef Network, even with my Patreon members, right? When I break down and I show y'all what I make and I show y'all the business side or whatever, I don't talk about Fight Club business. I don't talk about Lapeef business. I don't talk about don't do coke in the bathroom. I only show y'all what it is that I singularly generate. So when I'm in the Dominican Republic, you know, we on the phone and we talk about different business stuff and okay, this person is not going to be streaming or this person is going to be streaming tonight or whatever. And so I just broached the conversation and I said, yo, we need to talk about, you know, what it is that, what's the next vision? What is it that we doing going forward? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in a different space or I'm looking at it this way, right? And then you got your vision for how it is that you see it because it's your name attached to it, even though we built it together. So we need to figure this thing out. And so we talked for about 15, 20 minutes. And again, it wasn't no kind of beef or nothing like that. It was just genuinely conversation. And I just made the decision like, listen, I made the decision. I said, listen, it's time for me to just move on. It's time to go in a different direction. Now, why am I telling y'all this right now? I'm telling you this because it's a way that you go about doing things, and it's a proper way to go about doing business. At no job that I've ever decided to leave from did I ever leave on bad terms. In no relationship that I've ever left from, whether it be a networking opportunity or whether it be, anything that happens with regard to different women that I've talked to prior to getting married or anything like that, I've never, ever, ever beefed or had any kind of problem or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just an amicable time for me to go. And anybody that's a part of the Patreon know that one of the things that I say in the Patreon is about a 3-year mark. Between 3 and 4 years into anything, you have to start getting the itch and you have to start reevaluating where it is that you are. Whether you at a job, whether you're in a situation or whatever, at that point is when you start to evaluate what it was that you've done, what it was that you've built, how many projects you got under your belt, what happens after this point. And so as a result, it's just time. But with that being said, let me say this. While I was in the Dominican Republic, I did have an opportunity to also talk to my people over at Rumble. Rumble is saying that they're going to roll out the red carpet for me. And so as a result, I will be transitioning a lot of the content, both now, past, and in the future, over into Rumble. So I will be getting that Rumble bag. So over the next 2 months, you will see a transition of content or an uploading of content moving over into that platform. We will be embracing what it is that we see happening at Rumble. Thank you to the people over at Rumble for making sure that they accommodate me and ensuring that everything is absolutely awesome. I love you guys. You have a great platform, and we're going to do some awesome things. But we're still going to be doing what it is that we do over here on YouTube. So as far as YouTube, nothing changes. We're still going to be live streaming. We're still going to be taking care of business. We got new deals on the table. We got new sponsorships on the table. If you guys want to, make sure that you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. We will be discussing different opportunities and different things that's happening that I have coming up. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what's going to be happening going forward. So thank you to my friends over at Rumble. Thank you to my friends over at Teach Hanley for even entertaining the idea of renegotiating what it is that I'm doing over here at the Millionaire Morning Show and the Anton Daniels channel. Thank you to all of you guys for continuing to rock with me and ensuring that we absolutely positively are in a great space. I believe that the Lapeef Network and Lapeef Let's Talk will be successful, and they will continue to do great things, and everything will absolutely be awesome. I wish them absolutely the best of luck. I think that they have a great product on there. I think that they have solid footing and great leadership. Shout out to JR. Shout out to everybody that participates on the platform. I think that these, it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. But it's time for me to continue to grow. So after the show, you will slowly start to see the links inside of the description for you guys to be able to tap into the different platforms in which I have that I'm going to be launching on Rumble. So that is to come. Make sure y'all tap into my Instagram and my Twitter to stay updated because I tweet all the time. And everything is going to be absolutely awesome. Everything is going to be awesome. So that's the skinny of it. It's no issues. There's no problems. There's no trouble. Y'all don't have to always beef when y'all decide to go in different directions and stuff like that. Y'all don't always have to have problems or animosity or it spills out. Sometimes it's just a growth thing, right? I had a conversation. Somebody called me over the weekend while I was at the airport because I was stuck at the airport trying to get back into Detroit, right? And they said, Anton, I can't believe that y'all moving in different directions and you're not going to be showing up and stuff like that. I said, hold on. I said, it's not a problem. He said, oh, it's not a problem? Y'all so used to toxicity. Y'all so used to things playing out negatively publicly that y'all don't understand what it takes in order to be successful and how to move as a business person. And so I told him, I said, let me break it down to you like this. I said, you got a brother Or I said, have you ever, lived with somebody, a cousin or a brother that you ever lived with? They say, yeah. I said, is they still your brother? He said, yeah. He said, I said, well, listen. I said, as y'all grow up, he gets married, you get married, y'all move in different directions, you get a family. It don't mean that y'all not brothers anymore. It just means that y'all lives are growing in different directions. He said, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's all it is. People grow and they don't always grow in the same direction. Some people go that way. Some people go that way. Some people get married. Some people decide that they want to move overseas. That's it. That's it. That's all there is to it. So I know y'all looking for something a little bit more spicy. I'm sorry. I don't have anything else to say. I don't have any negativity to say. I don't have any cocktails to throw at anybody. I don't have anybody to throw under the bus. I don't have anything for you. I'm sorry. We made history. We did great things. We went through things. We went through losing a platform. We went through doing a lot of different stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just time to move on. That's it. Nothing major. So shout out to my friends. I will be updating y'all and keeping y'all up to date on what's going on with regard to the transition and moving a lot of the different content, especially Don't Do Coke in the Bathroom content over to Rumble. I also have some incredible shows and some incredible ideas that we bring into fruition. And I'm making an incredible investment. So a lot of the bags that I'm getting, I'm using it to reinvest back into the platforms and into the shows. Life is good. Life is absolutely awesome. So shout out to them over there. Let me read some of the super chats and then we're going to move back into the show. All right. Elliot Jackson says, just noticed the shirt. You write that off? Maybe. Everything is going to be custom from now on. So we just going to move forward in positivity. Dylan says, y'all's heard that? Mr. Daniel said, no one can diminish Island Girls Q's character in this space. We love Island Girl Q. Yardley says, I'm happy you left. The show was going downhill and the topics was getting redundant. Single mothers, modern day women, this and that, etc. I mean, I'm sure that he has a vision for it. My vision would have been a little bit different. However, he has his own thoughts and his own vision for what it is that I'm sure he sees as the direction that it's going in. I look at it a little bit differently as far as how I see things. I believe in chaos. I believe in putting the medicine in the candy. I believe in absolute chaos and entertainment. And I also believe in reinvesting in your platform. So I love the drama. I love the issues. I love the arguing. I love the crazy stuff. And that's how I move. And so I'm very much going to entertain the fuckery. I'm very much going to continue to do crazy stuff. And I'm going to tackle the most difficult subjects. And we're going to go into politics and we're going to go into all of that. And maybe I don't know. I haven't talked to him about this specifically. And it's the honest to God truth. Maybe he wants to be a little more, women friendly and, I don't know. Maybe he's trying to tap into a different audience. I believe in chaos, so it's a little bit different for me. Hey, Treya says, you were always the talent, Anton. I sub the moment y'all let Kayla disrespect the channel. The Zoom call experience just ain't it. I mean, it is what it is, Y'all can do whatever y'all want to do. I can't tell y'all what to do. I'm just reading the super chats. Butterfly Effect says, some business partnerships are for a reason. It's not a negative. Leaving on great terms is always the best. Yeah, I don't have any kind of problems at all. I have nothing negative to say. Shout out to Zuyo. Stand Up Guy Ron says, congratulations on the new chapter. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Tia Marie says, and Anton jitting right on over the Rumble. That's a Detroit word. What you know about jitting? You don't know nothing about that. You don't know nothing about that. You don't know nothing about that. So yeah, man, we got great things going on. And I'm excited. And I think that it's gonna be awesome. I think that it's gonna be a great time. So let's get into the rest of the show. Y'all crazy. I want to get into the fuckery. All right. So now that we have addressed that for all of the people that wants the spice and the juice, those are my thoughts. It is what it is. All right. Y'all know who this gentleman is right here? Y'all know who this gentleman is right here? This is, and make sure that y'all tune in to Island Girl Q tonight. Island Girl Q on Monday nights, it's going to be popping. We got some phenomenal people from all over, different platforms, different awesome people, not the same old that y'all keep seeing every day. We got some awesome people, so make sure y'all tune in to Island Girl Q show on Anton Daniels, 10 p.m. Eastern tonight. It is going to be crazy. I guarantee you that she has some incredible topics, and she is a talent out of this world. All right. Somebody says, before we get into the rest of the show, Black Man Unfiltered says, bro, where did you find that background? Bro, I need something like that. This is a painting. Black Man Unfiltered. This is an actual canvas. This is a real painting. It's huge. So this is actual a painting that I bought. So yeah, man, it's a dope. Thank you, Black Man Unfiltered. I appreciate you. Let's get into the show. So do y'all know who this guy is right here? This is Major Ree. Every time I say Major Ree, Rita corrects me, right? She says it's not Major Ree. And I asked her this morning, I said, why you keep correcting me every time I say Major Ree? She says, because it's Marjorie. Oh, my bad. You know me, I'm a C student. When I did it, I enunciated according to how I seen it. I seen Major E. All right. And so it's Marjorie. All right. Zoom in and out and show the wall. Why y'all want me to zoom in and out and show my wall real quick? Oh my gosh. Zoom in. See? It's a real canvas. All right. It's a real canvas. All right. All right. So let me get back into it. So Steve Harvey has been catching L's lately. All right. Everybody has been coming for Steve Harvey's neck. And he just can't live his life in peace. He just can't live his life in peace. Now, lately, what you've seen, and I've actually had a conversation about this last week, specifically about him and what he said on Shannon Sharp's show, right? And on Shannon Sharp's show, he broke down the different issues that he had with the Kings of Comedy. He talked about all of the things with regard to divorce and, you know, his ex-wife and his accountant and cleaning them out and all of this other type of stuff, right? And this guy right here allegedly was an ex-kingpin. Now, I don't believe it. Not even a little bit. I don't believe that this guy was an ex-kingpin, not even a little bit. You're not going to sit here and tell me that this guy was an ex-kingpin. I'm not going for it. If you look at his suit, specifically while he's talking, he's still got the tags on it. I think this is clout chasing at its finest. I know that we give Steve Harvey a lot of flack and a lot of issues or whatever, but somehow, some way, and this is why I always say that creators create. As much as you may not like or you like Tasha K, right? As much as you may not necessarily care for him. And I also heard that Derek Jackson is now on Country Wayne skits. Somebody verify that for me. I heard that Derek Jackson is now on Country Wayne skits. Is that true? Anyways, this guy has been dug up by Tasha K, and I have no idea for the life of me how she continues to get everybody to reach out to her that has a problem, an issue, trouble, or anything like that, right? But Steve Harvey has been living his life. We don't necessarily care for the way in which Lori Harvey is showing herself, and he addressed that on Shannon Sharp's show. And lots of great things has been happening. He getting the bags. He's getting over 10 M's just regard to his radio show, and he's done all of this work, and he's a legend with regard to his comedy career, and he gives great insight on how it is that you need to level up and the dedication it takes to be successful. But the one thing that you cannot say, is Steve Harvey is not a bag chaser. Now, the other thing that you have to add as a caveat is, how come every single time that something happens to a guy, in more instances than not, it's always associated with a woman? A woman is always the catalyst for how things change when breakups happen between brothers. A woman is usually the catalyst for how another man gets killed. A woman is usually the catalyst for the downfall of a kingdom. A woman is usually the person at the forefront of whatever it is of a kingdom crumbling. This is just a fact. In more instances than not, and that's not saying that a guy shouldn't have a level of discipline, and that's why we now starting to have these conversations about men protecting themselves. In more instances than not, it's always a woman that is at the forefront of a guy suffering, and men doing crazy, stupid stuff like this, like going on Tasha K in order to be a chatty patty, and he's supposed to be an OG, he's supposed to be a kingpin. I don't believe it. But let me play a little bit of this to make sure that you guys understand what's going on. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. We got a webinar going on tomorrow, and you have to be a part of the Patreon in order to join it. We also got the meetup this weekend. The best day of the month to join the Patreon is the very first day of the month, so make sure that y'all tap in. Let's get it popping. I want to see what this wild man that y'all sent me this video is having to say. Shout out to Steve Harvey. Hold on, I got to turn up.
Been through. Now, you've served over 20 years.
27.
27 years in prison. Look like what you've been through. Now, you've served over 20 years.
27.
27 years in prison. You were getting
28, really, if you count the year I did in the state when I was really coming up in the game.
Because you were originally given like a life sentence.
Without the possibility of parole.
Now, you've been out for about, what, 4 or 5?
6 years. It was six years in January.
Just in case the viewers aren't familiar, you have been working on a book for quite.
Now, I am very much interested, and I have to give Tasha K a lot of credit. Just so far, got to give Tasha K a lot of credit, because I don't know how she dig up these dudes, but been out the game, out of prison for over 6 years, right? And doing great things, or apparently he's been living his life. I don't know if he couldn't find a suitable suit that didn't have the tags on it or whatever. But he originally was without the possibility of parole in prison, and he did over 28 years in prison and all of that. And all of a sudden, he just pops up in the middle of all of this issue and problems on Tasha K's platform. Okay, let's continue.
Some time. It's called Snakes in the Garden.
The reason I took the book off the shelf was really because of Steve Harvey. But when Steve Harvey made a link, I told you they sent me a link.
Sent you a link.
And in that link, we never did finish that. In that link, he was saying that he was talking about Jason when Jason was about 15 years old. Jason was kind of rebellious, my son Jason. He told Steve Harvey one day, "You're not my father. Jimmy Townsend my father," like that. So I guess it kind of pissed. Now, this Steve Harvey with the interview talking. And so when Jason told him that, it kind of pissed him off. And he told Jason, "I love your mama, so I got to love you."
Facts.
Yeah, where's that punk ass, dad of yours? So I don't.
Let's rewind it one time. Y'all can go over to Tasha K's channel and watch this. DJ Troy said he's official. I don't think so. But I'm going to rewind it just a little bit in order to play that over, just for y'all in the back.
Son Jason, he told Steve Harvey one day, "You're not my father. Jimmy Townsend my father," like that. So I guess it kind of pissed. Now, this Steve Harvey with the interview talking. And so when Jason told him that, it kind of pissed him off. And he told Jason, "I love your mama, so I got to love you. Where's that punk ass, dad of yours?" So
a lot of y'all saying this, the credentials can be easily verified. When you say he's the real deal, I'm not saying did he really get caught with the bricks. I'm asking what makes y'all think that this dude is that deal? What makes y'all think that that dude is that deal, right? Because think about it, though. Think about it. You got another man. Now, I'm not an advocate for becoming a stepfather because I think it's a thankless job as being indicated right now. You had another man pick up the pieces and take care of your son because he loved your mother. He fed that motherfucker. He made sure that he had clothes on his back. He showed him what a man looked like as far as the work ethic and the grind and the hustle. Your son had a father figure in his life. You should be getting out and thanking Steve for making sure that he put discipline on your badass kid. You should be getting out and thanking him because he put discipline on your bad kid. I'm telling you, becoming a stepfather is quite possibly the worst decision and option in the world, because even after you took care of another man's kid on behalf of his mother, he's still getting out and writing a book about you. And he's still over here being a chatty patty talking about you. Now, I don't see what the problem is. If you in prison and I got to take care of your kid and your bad kid going to sit here and buck up to me and say, you ain't my daddy. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And not only am I your daddy, but your original daddy, where his punk ass at? Where his punk ass at? No. No. No way, no how. No way, no how would I ever advocate for a man. Now, allegedly, Steve actually adopted these other men's kids in order to make sure that they was taken care of. Adoption, you know what all of the benefits that come with being adopted, right? You get the healthcare coverage until you're 26 years old. You even get the last name, even to be associated with the Harvey name based off of Steve Harvey, right? Even to be associated with the last name of Harvey is a blessing. It's a privilege. You know how many guys would kill, or how many people would kill for the possibility of not only having a father or a strong male figure in their life, but also to have a famous, rich. If he loved his son, he should have been talking on the phone with his son and saying, hey, listen, hey, little homie, don't fumble the bag. You're going to fumble the bag for both of us. Make sure that you got the right mindset and you taking care of business. I'm going to be reading super chats throughout the show. And you don't be over there talking junk to that man. You in that man's house. Put some respect on that man's name. I, as his biological father, when he came to see me in prison, I'd have been like, hey, you really getting out of line with the dude that's feeding you? And now this dude is writing a book called Snakes in the Grass. Look at this. Look at what he just said. Look at one of the reasons why he's having this conversation.
My father, like that. So I guess it kind of pissed me. This is Steve Harvey with the interview talking. And so when Jason told him that, it kind of pissed him off. And he told Jason, I love your mama, so I got to love you. Now, where's that punk ass? Dad.
Now, when I say throw the baby out with the bathwater, y'all want to look at me all funny because these little angry monsters is coming up being disrespectful. Little angry monsters is coming up being disrespectful, and you still got to deal with. Listen, there's no way that I ever could imagine negotiating with another dude while I'm taking care of his kids. No way, no how. You can go ahead and keep that. You can keep that.
Yours. So I don't know if it was from insecurity or what.
Insecurity?
I think you're a multi-millionaire. I ain't nobody. You ain't got to worry about me.
So this man has never been in the same room with you.
Period. That's what he
called you a.
Why would I be in the same room with you? And see, Tasha understands, but Tasha is smart because Tasha K is just getting it. All she care about is the views. All Tasha K cares about is the views. Tasha ain't on no standards with regard to this man. She ain't trying to get his story and none of that. The only thing she want this man to do is to keep on talking. And if he was as self-aware, and this is one of the reasons why I say I don't know why y'all sitting here telling me that this guy was a kingpin. I don't believe it. He had to be a front man. He had to be the dude to take the fall. There's no way in the world that you can sit here and tell me that this man can't pick up the fact that Tasha K is leveraging what it is that he's saying in order to get the views. Meanwhile, he falling right into it. In order to be a kingpin, you got to be self-aware. You got to be focused. You got to keep your head on a swivel. You got to understand when people trying to play you, who's using you, and it's nothing wrong with being used. But at the same time, don't misuse me. You got to understand what comes along with that. You letting Tasha K put you in a position just to try to sell a book and going against the dude that actually can probably put you on and put you in a position of power and make sure that your kids was taken care of. All for what? For clout? And you sitting here talking about he must have been insecure because he got man, you was in prison for the rest of your life. You had life. You had life. What are you sitting here talking about a man being, how can I be insecure when I'm taking care of your kid? Come on, man. I'm not going for it. I'm not going for it.
Punk ass.
Yeah, that's what he told Jason.
I mean, you do look better than him.
I think so too. And you know something? I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I remember when Marge and I was together. She used to hate. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna tell it all. I'm telling it all, y'all. She said and it was fact. She used to check dudes with big lips. She was calling soup coolers.
These y'all kings? Are these y'all kings right here? Is these the type of dude that y'all looking up to when y'all saying, yeah, OG, this dude right here that don't even realize that he still got a tag on his suit? Is this y'all king? A chatty patty? A dude that's willing to go back and tell the tea on what a chick that he used to talk to or he used to be in a relationship with and telling all of the secrets behind the scenes? This y'all king? Man, this is the corniest junk that I've ever seen in my entire life. This is the corniest thing that I've ever seen from an alleged kingpin in my entire life. You don't go back and you pillow talk. You don't go back and you say what it is that y'all was saying when y'all was laying in bed together. You don't go back and say different and stupid, dumb stuff and all of that. And this is why I say we need to start holding. I had a conversation with a dude that cammed up on Friday and he was trying to disregard his father. I said, man, you better give your father some credit. Man, you better give your because he actually is one that took care of you and made sure that you was not. He couldn't say anything negative that his father did. And so when we finally start to have these conversations and we start to see the examples of what fathers that have been egregious, that hasn't been present in the kids' lives, and we sit here and we talking about how these dudes is moving, this is grimy. This is snake stuff. This is chatty patty stuff. This is pillow talking. I ain't never seen a OG or gangster or thug or any real dude. Let's remove all of the OG conversation out of it, right? I ain't never seen a real dude sit there coming back talking about a chick that's married to an. Yo, if a chick that I used to talk to moved on and got into a relationship with somebody else and she's married, whether she's married or not, or if she's moved on, I have nothing else to say. The only thing that I want her to do is to never, ever say nothing about me either. And even if she did, I'm ignoring it. I'm not even going back on that because I'm a real, like, you don't go back and start telling all of the business. Yeah, man. And when we was laying together, you know, she used to hate these type of dudes and all of this. And she would tell me, man, what kind of junk is that? You don't say what you done did behind closed doors. You don't go back and start talking about your ex-chick. She's your ex-chick. You were married to her or you were in a relationship. You had kids with that chick. Like, you don't go back and start telling the secrets of what y'all was talking about when y'all was laying down together, knowing that she's married and she's a public figure. Who do that? The same energy I got for him is the same energy that I had for August Alsina when he was on that interview talking about everything that was going on inside of his relationship. Who do that? Who talk like that? Who go back and start having conversations about what another man's wife that you used to be wife and he took care of and raised your kids used to do? This is wild. This is now when I say on code, this is what I mean by on code. Completely off code. Completely off his rocker. This is wild. You don't go back and start telling all of the pillow talk secrets. Fam.
Dudes with big lips. She was called soup coolers. Before she married Steve Harvey, they was dating because
and he can't even come up with nothing. He can't even come up with nothing real. Yeah, man. Marjorie used to say that she didn't like guys with big lips and soup coolers. Man, if you don't take your dusty, I just bought this suit, I'm about to go and take it back to the store ass back. Damn, I might have messed up my whole thing, y'all. I have been working on a big old interview with somebody that was allegedly tied to him and trying to bring him on the show. I might have messed that up. I might have to edit this out. This might just be a Rumble exclusive. You know what I'm saying? I might have to edit that out because I don't want them feeling a certain type of way of what it is that I'm saying right now. But come on, man. This ain't real. This ain't no real type junk. This is so corny and fake, man.
All this time, we talking. Even while she was dating. I could call her anytime, day or night. Me and Laura's daddy talked, and I thanked him for looking out for the family. We had that kind of rapport, you know. I called him, and I thanked him for, you know, and like I said, for 20 years, Marjorie brought the kids to visit me. As a friend, we just friends now. She done gone on with her life, you know, dating and whatever she doing.
Yo, if a chick that I used to talk to has moved on with her life and is now married to another guy, why am I having, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to have conversations with you about, unless it's about anything related to the kids. Unless it's related to the kids, why would I ever want to have a conversation with her? And then if you did, why are you sitting here telling it on why are you sitting here telling it to the internet? Clowns, bro. This is clown behavior. This is clown behavior right here.
And I'm going over my life trying to, you know, fight and get out of prison. So it was that type thing. So, but when 3 days, I talked to them to show you how close we were.
Okay.
3 days before she got married to Steve Harvey, we talked. And she told me, she said, Jimmy, she said, Jimmy, you know what, Steve, he's so much like my dad, you know. And when she said that, I said, like your dad? I said, yeah, you are like him, Jimmy, because he's just like, you know, my dad.
This dude is sitting here telling all of the tea, just like a little girl. This is, yo, I expect to see this from women. I do not expect to see this from dudes that's supposed to be OGs. I expect to see you dish women. This is the stuff that women do. This is why I heard that Lori Harvey allegedly makes guys sign a multi-million-dollar non-disclosure agreement in order to date her. I heard Lori Harvey makes guys sign a non-disclosure agreement that is in the millions of dollars in order to even be able to date her. I know DJ Troy. You know he wrong. When you have women now having dudes sign non-disclosure agreements because dudes is out here moving like this guy right here, that's a problem. That's a problem. No integrity. No real stand-up ability. Not really what it is that he's supposed to be. And this dude is walking around being a chatty patty, telling all of the dishing all of the tea about the girl he used to be with 30, 40 years ago. She ain't even the same woman no more. That's the stuff that guys was like used to do. Man, listen, man, I don't want her out here telling all of my business. Hey, take her phone away, make her sign that non-disclosure agreement, help her to read it and understand it and all. That's the stuff that we be advising guys to do. Now we got the women doing it because we got OGs and chatty patties out here being an example of what it is that you're not supposed to do inside of a relationship. He over here sitting here talking about, yeah, man, and 3 days before she got married. Man, if you don't let that woman go on and live her life. And again, I'm not even a person that's for guys getting married to women that already got kids. But it's a certain way that you're just supposed to move. I don't know, man. Maybe it's the Detroit in me. Detroit moves, Detroit guys, not all Detroit guys, because there's some wild dudes out here too. But Detroit guys, and he ain't just get out of prison. He said he been out of prison for over 6 years. He ain't new to this. Detroit dudes, we just move different. We just don't. You ain't never, ever, ever, ever heard me ever mention a name, a conversation, anything with regard to any woman that I've ever had a conversation with or a relationship with before I got married. Imagine me coming back 20 to 30 years later and saying, yeah, man, because she was busting it down for a real one. I don't think that guys should be talking about what happens inside of the bedroom or what happens within a relationship unless they trying to defend themselves in federal court like Johnny Depp did. What is wrong with these dudes? These are y'all OGs. They taught y'all wrong. This is why a lot of dudes is feminine now.
And when she said that, I said, because I knew how her dad was. He was a real deal. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? From husband to parent. And I said, man, oh, you got to wonder that. Be like your dad. She BS me on that. When I come to find out.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah, man. I wrote them.
This dude is wild. This guy is absolutely wild. So, my advice for you guys, before we get into the money, because now we about to start really, really deep diving. My advice for you guys, let me revise this. My advice for the ladies. I'm about to read super chats. My advice for the ladies is stay away from these suckers. Money don't make you real. Obviously, being a kingpin allegedly don't make you real. You got to be able to read between the lines. Make these niggas start signing non-disclosure agreements because these dudes is wild out here. Let me read some of these super chats. This dude's just out here being a chatty patty. Cornball. Mr. Lone Star says Steve got his life sentence commuted by talking to his buddy Barack. Is that true? Steve got this dude's sentence commuted? And he out here talking and writing tell-all books, talking about snakes in the grass? Wow. That's the kingpin in Memphis. Steve met Marjorie in the 80s. Wow. Tell me that ain't true. Ash says, good morning. I'm here. Had to make my money. Get that money. Get that money, big dog. Get that money, big dog. I like that, Ash. Ash, you know you one of the real ones. Island Girl Q says, hit that like button. Y'all, is the likes down? Wait. Q. We got over 1,700 people in here, and you telling me that the likes is down. We got over 1,700 people in here, and you telling me that the likes is down. Stop it. Hit a like, hit a dislike for the YouTube algorithm. Hit something, but certainly hit something. That's crazy. Don't tell me that, Q. Let's see. How old is Island Girl Q? Ask her. She in the chat. Talk to her. Q, don't tell them how old you. Q, don't tell them nothing. Don't tell them your relationship stuff. Don't tell them how old you are. If they want to know anything, if you want to know anything about Island Girl Q, you're going to have to tune into Q's show tonight on the Anton Daniels channel. It's on the other one. If you want to know anything about Q, y'all got to tune into the Anton Daniels channel. It's on there on the other one. So tonight, 10 p.m. Mr. Lone Star says, but he's not mad at his cousin for marrying his wife when he went down. He married his cousin? Jesus Christ. What the hell is happening out here in these streets? SBE Police is in the building, says if he lived it, then he can talk about it. We haven't read the book. I'm sure is using this to sell that book, but it won't be about her 100%. Yeah, it will. The only reason people is buying that book is because they want to know about Steve and Marjorie, whatever her name is. I don't know what her name is. Jazz Wiz says Steve Harvey is playing a dangerous game. If it wasn't for his money or fame, his life would be gone for dealing with an ex-criminal wife. I don't know about that. I don't think that y'all can remove. Y'all got to stop doing this. Jazz Wiz, man, you know you my guy. I don't think that y'all can remove the money from the man because the money is a reflection of the man, right? Money don't make you real, but money shows a lot of the other characteristics, especially when you did it the right way and legally, about who it is that the man. Largely, a lot of the ways in which we evaluate men historically has always been whether or not you can provide and protect. Provision and protection in 2023 and beyond is largely tied to your ability to be able to earn. Money matters. Y'all got to stop trying to remove that as a part of the conversation. Big Podcast says this is real Tender D interview. 86 Train says Anton talking straight facts. I dodged a bullet trying to build with one. The baby father was a whole bum and the kid looked at him like Dr. Umar Luther X. Miss Dalton is in the building. Shout out to Miss Dalton, says he's living in the past because that's when his life ended in society. He spent decades in prison and lost the skills to maneuver in society anymore. He was the man back in the day. Now he's just old, slow, and bitter. Man, we can't be old, slow, and bitter. Thank you, Miss Dalton, for the 20 ball. We don't want to be old, slow, and bitter. Not old and slow and bitter. You got to pick a struggle. Jamal Johnson is in the building, says, actually, Anton, a lot of these OG rappers are telling. I know. It's so easy to get them up on the platform. If I wanted to interview rappers, I can interview rappers all day long. It's so easy to get them up on the platform. Thank y'all for the super chats. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Let's continue to get into the show. Bank failures. Bank failures. Let's get to the money, y'all. Now we get into the unpopular part of the show because this is the part that actually helps you, makes you better, gives you insight and understanding on how it is that you can leverage what's going on in these streets in order to become successful. First Republic Bank. The news happened over last week or over the weekend that First Republic Bank is one of the second largest banks ever to collapse. It is now being swallowed up by JP Morgan Chase. And it is big, big news to everybody in the banking community. Make sure y'all hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. If you have not already, make sure you tap into the Patreon. The best day to tap into the Patreon is the beginning of the month. The first of the month is the best day to tap into the Patreon. I'm doing a webinar tomorrow on how it is that y'all can leverage this social media, and I'm going to be showing receipts. I'm going to be showing my back end on how y'all can leverage everything that we have going on today in order to be successful. And I'm doing a meetup in Dallas this weekend. If you are part of the Bag Chasers, do not share our location. We don't want no dusties. We only want to focus on the people that's actually going in the direction that we're going in and getting this work and getting this money and networking effectively. All right. I'm going to be there. Q going to be there. And we're going to be doing it big. All right. So it's going to be absolutely awesome. Second largest bank in history, allegedly, that has ever collapsed. Let's go into it. I want to deep dive into this. Let's get to the money, ladies and gentlemen.
Breaking this morning, First Republic Bank has become the second largest bank failure in U.S. history. Regulators have seized the bank, sold off most of its assets to JP Morgan Chase in a rescue deal as America's banking crisis flares up again. In a statement this morning, JP Morgan Chase's CEO, Jamie Dimon, says our government invited us and others to step up, and we did. He did note this will benefit JP Morgan Chase. We'll talk a lot more about it. But look, First Republic is now the third major bank to fail since March. The announcement comes just hours before markets open, and we're keeping a close eye on Wall Street to see how it reacts when the markets open. Our business.
So let's start off right here. All right. First and foremost, banks fail all the time. The second largest bank to ever fail, now that's a feat and a caveat that you have to tip your hat to, but banks fail all the time. When banks fail, often at times another bank is the recipient of those customers. Instead of the government going over and saying, hey, we want to bail out this bank in order to continue to instill consumer confidence, what the government now apparently is doing, based off of what's being communicated here, is the government is now saying, listen, we don't want to necessarily continue to have to do this because then you start to get into being more of a socialist environment. When you go and sign up for a bank account, when you go and get a loan, when you go and do anything, what you know and what you understand is that your deposits is guaranteed up to $250,000 per account, right? I even seen this one thing where Giannis used to have a whole bunch of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 accounts with different amounts in them because he wanted to make sure that his money was protected against the collapsing of the economy and the banks themselves, right? But First Republic Bank, another banking collapse. We're still mining out the details, but let's continue to get into the show. Make sure y'all hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. I'm reading Super Chat shortly.
Business and politics correspondent Vanessa Yurkevich outside of a First Republic Bank here in New York City. Vanessa, good morning to you. What is so shocking is that 11 weeks ago, Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan led the way for all these big banks to inject $30 billion into First Republic to try to save it. And even that didn't work.
That's right, Poppy. And later this morning, when this First Republic branch behind me and 83 others around the country open, it will be under new ownership. JP Morgan Chase buying First Republic Bank in a deal overnight, announced this morning by the FDIC. This was an effort by regulators to shore up consumer confidence in the banking system. As part of this deal, JP Morgan Chase will assume all deposits of First Republic Bank. So when people go to the bank this morning, their deposits are safe.
Now, again, the government wants to ensure consumer confidence in the banks because now it is more important than ever because we don't necessarily make a lot of things in this country. The only thing that we do is move money around in order to ensure that we generate more revenue because banks make money off of continuing to loan you money in order to ensure that they get paid off of the interest. So let me tell you how banks work, how they make money. I'm going to give you the short form of it. I'm going to read Super Chats shortly. Shout out to you, King Jaffe Joe. I want to give you the crash course from a Steve student's perspective of how it is that they make money, right? Because a lot of people will ask you, and nobody really minds through how a bank can collapse. How does a bank collapse, right? How does a bank collapse? How does a bank become insolvent? Because another thing that you see people say all the time is we need black people to open up their own bank. They have, and they failed in the past. There has been majority black banks that have failed in the past. And a lot of people like to ask the question, well, how do banks make money? How do banks collapse? How do they get themselves in this position in the first place? And let me tell you how. Let me tell you why the gamification of credit, banking, deposits, the economy, how it's all tied together and why the federal government is so dedicated to instilling confidence in the consumers in order to ensure that you continue to put your money inside of these institutions because it's all literally one big pyramid. It's all one house of cards because one thing without the other will not work. The way that banks largely make money is that they take your money collectively and then they substantiate exactly how much they have in deposits in order to justify how much money that they loaning out because they just can't continue to loan out a wild amount of money. They have to be very, very careful on how it is that they use their resources in order to make more money. And so there's a few different ways in which they make money. They make money off fees. But we all know that a lot of the fees have gone away in order for banks to try to compete with each other. So back in the day, right, they used to have a fee on opening up a bank account. Now they have usually a tiered system where they say, listen, it's going to cost you, I don't know, $9 a month. Let's just use a round number. $9 a month in order for us to continue to service this bank account. Now it costs money for them to service that bank account, right? It costs them money in the form of workers, technology, banking, locations and ATMs and transaction fees and MasterCard and Visa and all of these different things. It costs them money to have that bank account. Now, why would they give it to you for free? Why would they give it to you for free? Well, they're not, right? They would usually charge you a fee back in the day, right? They would charge you a fee for having a bank account. They would charge you a fee for bounce checks. They used to charge you a fee for overdraft fees. They would charge you a fee for a lot of different things, right? Transaction fees, issues, problems. If you use another ATM, it's a fee. But in order for them to compete with each other, they had to then lower the cost of doing business. It used to be a fee for having brokers, for doing trades, buying different stocks. It used to cost a lot of money. Now everything has been streamlined and everything is free. And technology has afforded them the ability to be able to compete. So what do they have to do? They have to generate more revenue. How do you generate more revenue? You have to give more loans. You have to find a different type of customer base. When they started opening these applications and these technology companies, they used to have only online banking. And with only online banking, one of the things that you've seen was they were going after a younger generation. Because often at times when you tie yourself to a specific brand, you're there for life. Wherever you bank, if you've never had an issue, you're usually there for life. Nobody usually just switches banks just out of the blue, right? Every year you don't have a new lease coming up and then you start to evaluate what kind of car you're about to buy. And so the way that they make money is by fees and then the interest that comes along with whatever it is that you have going on. Now, one caveat that they would say is, well, if you have direct deposit, which increases the amount of deposits that they have in the bank, which also factors into how much money that they can lend out to consumers. If you got direct deposit, if you have this amount of money in the bank and you keep this amount of money in the bank, if you open up this type of account, then we will waive these fees or we will waive this or so on and so forth, right? And so they have to compete in order to continue to steal different depositors away from other banks. But the main way in which they can make money is then they have to start loaning out the money so that you're paying interest on whatever it is that they're buying for you. So for example, when you buy a home, right? Let's say you buy a $500,000 home and you get a 30-year mortgage, that is in the best interest in the bank, especially if you're a person with high credit. High credit tells them, and it gives them the gamification to tell them and say, well, this person is more than likely 10 times out of 10 going to pay their mortgage on time forever. Now, they want you to be late occasionally, right? Because then they get the fees and the transaction fees and the late fees that go along with it. That continues to go in the bank's coffers without any kind of issue. But they still want you to pay your bills on time. And that's how they can ensure that they continue to make money. Now, riskier loans, subprime loans, when you start making large investments, I'll give you an example. One thing that I used to see when I was working at Comerica, right? When I used to work at Comerica is that we learned from a user experience perspective that banks like to mitigate risk. So let's say, for example, that somebody comes along and let's say Elon Musk comes along and Elon Musk says, you know what? I have the money to be able to buy Twitter, but I don't want to use all of my money in order to be able to buy Twitter because what happens is I then have to pay the taxes on the money that I'm drawing out from my compensation or from other things in order to then allocate $44 billion in order to buy Twitter. And see, this is how rich people use money versus how poor people use money. Poor people says credit is good so that they can buy things that they don't need in order to justify their lifestyle for people that don't care about them. Rich people leverage banks' money because they say, we don't want to pay the taxes that come along with pulling money out of my own stuff and having to pay the capital gains taxes, the payroll taxes, whatever the taxes is. So I'm going to leverage my position in this company in order to get the money in order to pay off or to pay for this new entity or this new business that I'm going in, right? And so what happens is the banks then say, well, we're not just going to give you $44 billion. We're going to partner with this bank and we're going to partner with this bank and we're going to partner with this bank. And so they want to be a part of the deal, but they want to mitigate the risk because they don't want to take on the entirety of what it takes in order to finance that deal, but they still want to make a lot of money from it and they want to be associated with it. So banks often will partner with multiple different banks. And I know this because I was in the banking industry and I studied it from a user experience perspective. Banks will partner with other banks in order to get certain deals done in order to make sure that they can, continue to make money by lending out the money that they need in order to continue to make what it is that they have coming back from them from that deal. When you see a company and it says, well, Twitter has to pay $1 billion interest payment by this date or else it's going to become insolvent, that money is going straight over to the banks, all right? So when you start to look at how banks fail, right, you have to start also looking at the identity of the people or the industry in which they're servicing or lending, right? Comerica Bank, for example, made the transition to move from Detroit in the early 90s down into Dallas because it was a huge oil industry down there and they wanted to start to tap into a lot of those customers or a lot of those businesses, and they felt like they was in a better position to be able to do so if they moved their headquarters down there while also still servicing what it is that they had over here in Detroit. Similarly, I'm having a conversation with the mayor of Detroit, the former mayor of Detroit, Kwame Kilpatrick, and Comerica Bank got pissed at them at one point because the mayor said in order for y'all to continue to do business in Detroit with the city and us to have our deposits still in this bank, you're going to have to do other things and be more of a corporate citizen for the city. And so what he did was he took $84 million out of the bank and he moved it into a different bank, and Comerica Bank got pissed at him, right? Corporate sponsorships. Comerica Park is out there and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of different moving pieces with regard to the whole banking industry. Wow, it's really raining out here. I can hear it. It's a lot of different moving pieces with regard to the banking industry that you guys have to start paying attention to. And it's a lot of risk associated with it. And banks fail all the time. So I wanted to give y'all a little bit of a cliff note of how banks make money, how they operate, how they choose what their customer base is going to be, because it factors into how it is that they're operating every single day from a business perspective. All right.
all started to unfold several weeks ago after the failure of SVB and Signature Bank. But as you mentioned, there was that big cash infusion of $30 billion led by JP Morgan. But things really started to spiral last week after the first quarter earnings call by First Republic, where they revealed that deposits fell by 40%, totaling about $100 billion. That sent stock prices falling. Just on Friday, shares were trading at about $3, down from about $122 earlier in March. We do have a statement from the Treasury Department out early this morning reacting to the news. I will read that to you. Here's what they said. Quote, Treasury is encouraged that this institution was resolved with the least cost to the Deposit Insurance Fund and in a manner that protected all depositors. The banking system remains sound and resilient. And
well, of course they're going to say that. Now, one of the benefits that comes along with tapping into Chase to say, hey, listen, and let me tell you why it makes sense for Chase to actually buy it. One of the benefits that come along with them saying that is they don't have to tap into the deposit fund in which banks pay into in order to ensure the solvency of the system had there been a collapse. Now, the other side of it is you've seen what the share price was, right? Chase see it as an example to absorb. And one of the things that banks love, they always are sitting in boardrooms and in meetings and in the executive C-suites and trying to figure out how to acquire more customers. How do we get more customers? How do we get the top tier customers? It's similar to the casino. Casinos are always trying to figure out how to get the whales. Banks are always trying to figure out how to get more customers, right? And so what they do is they tap into the general public, or they tap into their marketing team, or they tapping into their executives, and they're always trying to figure out, how do we get more customers? How do we get really good depositors? How do we grow in our ability to continue to make more money or push out more loans and do things in a strategic way that's going to generate more revenue for the industry? And so I would imagine, right, that their executive leadership said, listen, look at the stock price. We can get this basically at a pittance. We can absorb their customers. We can absorb their assets. We can take into what it is that we have. Now, on the other side, you also, with a deal like this, you also have to take into consideration that they're responsible for everything that comes along with even the uninsured deposits from the bank, right? They have to instill confidence in their customer base. But if they can easily absorb a group of customers, in which it happens all the time, you just don't hear about it on public platforms. If they're easily able to absorb a group of customers, from the government's perspective, it's a win-win from everybody, because they can still say, hey, listen, you guys are still safe. We don't have to tap into the deposit insurance fund, and Chase is going to go ahead and take it over, a much bigger bank that's doing greater things.
Americans should feel confident in the safety of their deposits and the ability of the banking system to fulfill its essential function of providing credit to businesses and families. So clearly, this is an effort by the FDIC, an effort by JP Morgan Chase, and an effort by the Treasury Department to assure customers and consumers that the banking system here in the United States is in fact safe. Poppy?
It's still just stunning to see 3 big U.S. bank failures since March. Vanessa, thank you. We'll check back in with you throughout the morning. And Caitlin and Christine, I mean, the truth is the FDIC still is going to pay $13 billion here in terms of the cost of this.
Well, that's what they've forecast, actually, because we don't know what the ultimate cost will be, but they've said it could be about $13 billion.
And Christina Romans, you're obviously our chief business correspondent. What do we know about the details of how all of this happened and what it looks like, what they've agreed to?
It was just an amazing weekend. I got to tell you, I mean, this is JP Morgan taking over the assets and the deposits of this bank. And then there's going to be a loss sharing provision with the FDIC for anything that comes up that could be problematic on the bank's books. So a little bit of a sweetener from the FDIC to make sure that JP Morgan would come to the table. We know there was.
So JP Morgan basically bent over the federal government in order to make sure that they went ahead and took over all of the assets that came along with First Republic Bank. So this is what JP Morgan did. JP Morgan, all right, let me break it down from a C student's perspective. First Republic Bank is failing. The federal government get wind of it. So the federal government taps into JP Morgan Chase and they say, listen, we need you over here to go ahead and pick up this asset. And then the federal government said, for what? Why would I do that? Like, we good over here. We getting money. We making it rain. We got it popping over here, so on and so forth. The federal government said, listen, we don't really want to be in banking, but we still want to make sure that we instill confidence, and we need to get this done as soon as possible because we don't want fumbling Biden to come up here and to make a statement again and trying to instill confidence in the people, and that he can't even instill confidence in the ability to get student loans forgiven, right? And so the JP Morgan said, I looked at the federal government as a trick, and they said, but listen, if we gonna do this, you're going to have to shake a little bit. You're going to have to give what it is that you got. You're going to have to bend over a little bit. You're going to have to bend over a bit. Can I get explicit a little bit here? We're not going to go too much into detail. So the federal government said, all right, listen, I'm going to let you hit it a little bit, but you're going to have to wear a rubber. That's basically what this $13 billion is. He said, listen, just don't hurt me. She said, just don't hurt me. I'm going to let you tap into it a little bit. Just don't hurt me. That's what the federal government is doing. He said, listen. I'm not. What's the scene that set it off? Where Jada Pinkett was like, I'm in the bind, Nate. I'm in the bind, Nate. Ain't nobody trying to hear that shit, Stony. Now you getting in or what? So the federal government is Stony. JP Morgan is Nate. And the next scene, you seen Jada Pinkett, Stony, was giving it up a little bit. Now she might have cried as she was walking home. She might have gotten a shower in the next scene and then washed herself off. You know what I'm saying? But JP Morgan seen that she was in a bind. Now, could Nate have given Stony the money? Listen, we know that we learn a little bit differently. I know they told y'all they told y'all had a learning disability in school, but that wasn't true. You just had a different way of learning. So if we adapt it over into the way that we live our lifestyle, then you will understand it a little bit. So Nate could have gave Stony the money. Now, some of y'all are simps. If Stony would have came over with her little braids and all of that, she might have got a couple of dollars out of you. But Nate is different. Nate is a businessman. She said, I'm in the bind, Nate. I can come and work for you and all of this other type of stuff. But Nate didn't see her assets the way that she valued herself. She valued herself as being a hard worker. She would do a good job working for him at his companies. Remember, she didn't say she was in a bind until, you know what I'm saying, until after she had already explained how much of a hard worker she is. She asked for an advance. She asked for, now what was Nate doing strolling around with over them scallywags out there in the alley anyway? You had Queen Latifah was on the roof drinking beer. You had Vivica Fox. She was out there trying to play gangster. She had just got fired from her job. Right? I'm breaking this down from a business perspective as far as JP Morgan, First Republic, and the federal government. What was JP Morgan around on the weekend? All of the workers is gone. Jamie Dimon, he got Biden's phone number, hanging around with the scallywags for. Because they already knew that Stony was going to need that money anyway. So when Stony came through and they said, well, listen. I want to come work for you. I need some money or whatever. He said, oh, okay, come on. You can come work for me, Stony. And she said, but I need an advance. And he said, I mean, I'm sure we could figure out a way. That's what JP Morgan told allegedly the Biden administration. And then as he walked away, as Jamie Dimon was walking away and the CEOs over there at JP Morgan Chase, she said, I'm in the bind, Nate. Oh. So her value that she pitched to Nate is much different than the value that Nate extracted from her. And you know what the funniest part about the whole part of that movie, if y'all really pay attention to it? You know what the funniest part about that whole movie? I might have to pull that up as a clip. Because a lot of y'all young and a lot of y'all have not seen Set It Off. Let me see if we can find it. The funniest part about this whole movie You know what the funniest part about this whole movie is? Hold on. Let's see if I can get it up for y'all. Look at Nate circling. In order for y'all to truly understand this, you got to see it. Because I can't explain it the same way that the scenes is going to explain it. You know what I'm saying? The funniest part about this whole part is that once Stoney's brother or nephew or whatever got killed, she ripped the check up. Nate got that bust down for free. Just like business versus the federal government. Nate got that bust down for free because she ripped up the check because she was sowing her emotions and she was frustrated that it didn't work out for her. Oh, shoot. I can't get it. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can get a better version of it. Because we might still be able to do this. Hold on. I got you, baby girl. I got you, baby girl. I'm in the bind, Nate. Now look at Nate. Nate is circling around, kicking it with the people with the lowriders. Nate got on his slacks. His shirt is tucked in. He sees Stoney, right? He talking to this guy with the sweater on. This is First Republic Bank, okay? Nate understands that First Republic is the college that the boy is trying to go to, okay? Now, Nate is Chase, and Stoney is the federal government because she's trying to make sure that First Republic gets saved, that her nephew or her brother is getting saved. Okay, well, what are you going to do for this then? What are you going to do for this bag?
Girl, didn't he want you to come work in his call out for him? Yes.
Look at Nate. Look at Nate. He said he sees Stoney. Hey, Stoney. Nate don't see nothing but box. He don't see nothing but box, all right?
Hey, Stoney.
Come on over here, Stoney. What you talking about?
You going over there?
Look at the federal government. Yeah, I'm going to go see what he wants. I'm going to see what he wants. Go ahead, Stoney. This is before August Alsina. Look at Jade. Look, why is Nate hanging out and you got look at Vivica Fox hair. She got pins in her head. The whole 9 yards. This is a foreshadowing of what was going to happen in 2023, y'all. Look, single mothers.
I mean, you can make 2 G's a month on commission.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make that. You can make that money.
Somebody who could help you.
Nate, before I come work for you,
Yeah.
I need an advance.
You need an advance, Stoney? You need an advance. Okay, federal government.
There's a little problem that I need to fix.
I can do that. Yeah, I can do that.
I could do that.
But I mean, Stoney Newsom got to give me a reason to do that.
Oh, not the shoulders, Nate. Oh, look at the face. Look at the face and the massaging of the shoulders. Oh, Jesus. We need to start using more movie references in order to explain to y'all what's going on in society. Look at the shoulders, y'all. Look, this is what's happening with First Republic Bank, United States of America, and JP Morgan Chase. All right? I want to help y'all to understand why I'm using this clip for those of you that just arrived, all right? JP Morgan Chase is swallowing up First Republic, but they needed a little bit of an incentive from the federal government in order to ensure that this goes on.
And what would that be?
Don't ask no questions,
Now
young.
you know.
Look at Nate.
Let's go for a ride.
Woo! He getting in that Cadillac, sunroof back. Dig in the scene where the players lean. I'm about to watch this whole thing tonight. Look at her. Don't turn around. Come on in the car. Get on in, girl. No divider in the middle.
So when do I
And don't get in here with an attitude either.
get my advance?
Oh, I don't know. Tomorrow, maybe the day after.
Look, Nate, before I do this, I want my check.
And she asking for money. She asking for money.
Hey, whoa, look. You not getting no check from me until I'm done, you understand?
Woo! Nate said, you ain't getting no check from me until I'm done. You understand? That's what J.P. Morgan Chase told the federal government as it relates to First Republic. Now, I'm going to stop right here because I understand that this next scene might be a little tad bit much for the Millionaire Morning Show. So we're going to get back into our regularly scheduled program, ladies and gentlemen. But my point, let's go back into the First Republic. All right? I know we do things differently over here, all right? So we have to make sure that we break this down from a C student's perspective so you guys can make a more informed decision as to how it is or how things are playing out from a business perspective. Make sure y'all tapping into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's get back to what we was talking about.
Breaking.
Let's go back.
Problematic on the bank's books. So a little bit of a sweetener from the FDIC to make sure that JP Morgan would come to the table. We know there was an auction of this bank. So over the weekend,
Reading Super Chat shortly.
you had all these banks who were vying for pieces of First Republic, but it was pretty
maybe
clear.
PNC, JP Morgan, others.
By the end of last
bind,
week, it
Nate.
became pretty clear that the FDIC was going to have to step in and take over this bank. It was not going to be able to stand alone.
Yeah, and I think if you're waking up this morning and you're looking at this, I was just texting with a top House Republican who deals with all of this, and he says essentially this is unfinished work from SVB weekend, from what happened with Signature Valley Bank.
Well, so
Silicon Valley Bank.
Yeah, so let's talk about what happened there, because you had this bank, First Republic, lost 41% of its deposits. $100 billion walked out of the door after SVB and Signature Bank failed. Because what happened was that showed that these banks, like First Republic, they have a lot
And I think Nate gave her a post-dated check too, but neither here nor there.
of uninsured deposits. People didn't want to be sitting there with all of their money in a bank, more than $250,000 in a bank with uninsured deposits. And so they walked out the front door and took their money to other
Hey, but hold on. Before we get into this, before we continue, I'll get into that in a minute.
banks. First Republic catered to wealthy clients on the coasts. It was known for its $5 million jumbo mortgages.
Yeah.
So when you talk about Republicans in the House, look, nobody's crying over First Republic Bank, but you don't want chaos and turmoil to spread to the rest of the banking system as well here.
And do we think that there's going to be more chaos in the rest of the banking system as a result of this?
So I've been talking to a lot of people over the weekend, and they think you call this unfinished business. They think that what happened with the all that money that was the lifeline that went 6 weeks ago that went into
the $30 billion.
Right,
Now, look. Let me show y'all something. This is perfect because I haven't even seen this, right? And I'm going to just blow this up really quickly just to give y'all an example of what it is that we're talking about, all right? So this is usually what happens, okay? And I'm going to break this down for you guys really, really simple. All right. If you look at this, remember when I was telling y'all that a lot of other banks a lot of times participate? One bank alone usually does not ever by themselves take on 100% of the risk of whatever deal that they have coming in, whether it's to save another bank, whether it's financing for this particular purchase. If you look at what the financing, and this is what I want y'all to do as homework, go back and look at the financing of Twitter from Elon Musk. Did he have the money? Absolutely. Did he leverage some of his money and then he did the rest of the deal with other entities in order to ensure the purchase of this asset of Twitter? Absolutely. And so the bailout of First Republic Bank previously, right, for March was based off of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 banks. 10 banks participated in the bailout of JP Morgan, and I don't even see Chase up there. 10 banks participated in the bailing out. U.S. Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citibank, Morgan Stanley, right? The first part of the deal, the $5 billion, was collectively put together by 4 of the biggest banks that you know visibly. Morgan Stanley contributed another $2.5 billion by itself. Another $1 billion was put together by PNC, Truist Bank, US Bank, all of this other type of stuff. So when you see a lot of this stuff happen, or you see these bailouts, or you see this money being passed around, it's usually not by one entity by itself. There's a collection of different people that come together in order to ensure that certain things happen because they want to mitigate the amount of risk or the amount of exposure that they have to risk of a possible collapse or failure, in which it did wind up going to auction, and JP Morgan Chase wind up obviously bending the federal government over it and then getting everything as a result of it. So I just wanted to share that with y'all really quickly. But we can get back into the show.
Bought it some time.
Yeah.
It calmed down market fears. It bought it some time and allowed the industry to be able to find a way to manage this problem. Will there be more banks? No one knows for sure. I mean, 3 big bank failures in just a couple.
There will be, in my opinion, if I have to predict it, there will be more banks that come along that fail as a result of it.
Of months is really remarkable. But for the most part, most banks are perfectly healthy and will be able to manage this interest rate risk.
But can we talk about the FDIC report here? Because I'm obsessed with this. This is an aspect of this, talking about the root causes of here and what went down. The FDIC report basically said that because they have so many staffing shortages, that led to.
So look at these excuses. The FDIC report is saying that this happened because A, poor bank management. Translation, we don't really know what's going on, but we know that the people at the top should be held accountable for the bank collapsing. Cool. Poor bank management. Number 2, management did not fully understand the risk of crypto deposits. Remember when we first started having conversations about cryptocurrency back in the day, when we were doing live streams on the Millionaire Morning Show? And one of the things that I would tell my Patreon members on a regular basis, we've never done any live streams, whether on a Patreon or anything like that, in which I've suggested or I've broken down exactly what the risks were, because I've always told people on a regular basis that the thing that you never want to do is invest in something that you don't understand. I have a video inside of the Patreon, the 8 things that I look for when I'm looking to make an investment, whether it be in a stock or a company. And you never, ever, ever invest in something that you do not fully understand. The second point is management did not fully understand the risk of crypto deposits. Staffing shortages at the FDIC. So you're telling me that the FDIC, which is the governing body that oversees what's happening at the banks, similar to what it is that we experienced in 2008 for the mortgage crisis, in which basically they had no real oversight, is then one of the determining factors for whether or not this bank was going to fail? Stop it. Stop it, man. Stop it. Come on, man.
To a part of what we've been seeing playing out with these banks.
Yeah, that Fed report on the collapse of SVB was really interesting, in part because the Fed is both the regulator and the supervisor, and basically said there were all these open
regulator and the supervisor. Oh, okay.
Red flags at Silicon Valley Bank that were not followed up on, and that management didn't understand what was going on, but also just poor bank management and oversight was not as robust as it should have been.
When I sat down with JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon just last month, I asked him about these string of bank failures. Would there be more? Here's what he said then.
This is not 2008. Okay, this is much more limited. There are only a handful.
When you see the next real recession, the next real collapse, the next real opportunity that it comes for the people that have resources and is managing risk effectively and making sure that they don't have any debt. When you see the next collapse come, hear me today, on May 1st, 2023, it is going to be much more egregious than what it is you've seen in 2008. It is going to be much more egregious. I'm not sure what's going to cause it. I'm not going to sure what's happening as a result of it. I warned you of what we seeing happening right now. What I'm telling you is that everything is cyclical and it's going to happen again. Make sure y'all tune into the webinar tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of gems that come along with it. I'm going to really blow the top off of how it is that y'all need to be spending and investing y'all money effectively. But more importantly, Join the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I prepared y'all. I prepared my bag chasers. I warned y'all. I gave y'all the game. I coached y'all. I gave y'all some insight and understanding on how it was that y'all needed to prepare yourself for what was happening right now, right here, right now, and how you can capitalize off of it. I'm telling you.
Full of banks that had this particular problem, they'll eventually be
Read the
resolved
super chat
one way or
shortly.
another. And I think then people should take a deep breath. In a week or two, a lot of these banks can be reporting earnings. I think they'll probably be pretty good.
What we subsequently learned as we bring in Roger Altman, former Deputy Secretary of the Treasury and founder and senior chairman of Evercore. Roger, thank you. What we learned when those bank earnings came in is how much money fled from First Republic in the first quarter. But
So nobody cared about the profits that came along with the reporting in their not their annual report, but their quarterly reports as far as showing the profitability in the banks. The people were also more concerned with how much money was pulled out of the banks. That weighed heavily on how the market's seen the valuation of those particular companies. So let me read super chats because it's a lot to mine through, and we're gonna continue to watch this. And keep an eye on it in order to make sure that we add as much value and is giving you as much information as possible. Centennial G 82 says, "Are we sure this is not Carl Thomas? I wish I never met. I wish I never met." I'm not gonna start hitting notes for y'all. I'm not gonna start singing for y'all on the Millionaire Morning Show because I can hit that run. I didn't hit that run. I hit that. I can hit that Carl Thomas run. Listen, I know a lot of y'all don't know, but I was raised in church. We did a lot of singing in church. I can hit that. And all right, maybe another show. Maybe for another show. Maybe this is the remix with Minister Farrakhan. You wanna go to heaven? King Jaffe Joe says, started a new job and they got me missing the meetup. I'm not too happy. Hey, go get that bag. Go get that bag. Go get that bag. We gonna do another meetup, but you go get that bag. Since I really wanted to make it, but the bag is huge and secured. All right? I can hit that Carl Thomas note. Don't think that I can't. Test me. Test me. I can hit that note. Lenny Deadstock says, this deal happened Sunday night and under 3 hours, stay woke. Big bank take a little bank. Real talk. You got to pay attention to the signs, and Lenny is absolutely right. Shout out to Lenny. JP Morgan Chase now controls more than 10% of all FDI insured assets. Translations equal a monopoly. The government said, I'm in the bind, Chase. I'm in a bind, Chase. Shout out to the federal government from getting bent over as usual. Executive Suite MLE says classic monogrammed AD button down and pank. I'm showing up more in the office. The visibility is already paying off. Caught a bag and the bag fell, big dog. Shout out to all of my bag chasers. Make sure y'all hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Bag chasers is up. Bag chasers is up. Shout out to Executive Suite MLE. I appreciate y'all for the super chats. We got one more thing that we need to tackle. Before we get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Epstein. I seen this come across my desk. Y'all emailed this to me. I appreciate y'all. I was over in the Dominican Republic and I was paying attention to what was going on. Jeffrey Epstein. Did you know that the Epstein files is continuing to be released? The very thing that we thought that he allegedly hung himself inside of a prison mysteriously when the guard was gone, he just so happened to do so. Okay, I'm not going for it. However, let's go ahead and deep dive into it. Did y'all know that over the weekend that Jeffrey Epstein's calendar was released and there was a lot of big names on there? The Epstein files. Oh, they saying, Cap, y'all want me to hit that emotional? I don't know about that. Y'all got to get the likes up. Y'all got to subscribe to the channel. Y'all got to get the likes up. Let's dive into this Jeffrey Epstein conversation.
A new report from the Wall Street Journal exposes the prominent names on Jeffrey Epstein's private calendar. Some planned meetings include CIA Director William Burns, Bard College President Leon Botstein, and Obama White House counsel Catherine Rumor.
Ooh, this is a good one. I hadn't even seen this video yet, but I definitely got a deep dive into this. This is a good one. This is a good one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm reading Super Chat shortly. Look at this, y'all. Look at this. Hold on. I see Ash is trying to incentivize me to go ahead and hit that Carl Thomas. No, we're going to read Super Chat shortly. All right. CIA Director William Burns, College President Leon Botstein, Obama White House counsel Catherine Rumler. And y'all wondering how things starts to move around. Listen, let me tell you something. I tell y'all this all the time. If you want to understand what's happening in politics, in the purchasing of different banks, YouTube, Rumble, who's going to become your next mayor, city council members, president, the only thing you have to do is follow the money. This is literally, forget the celebrities. This is the who's who on how to stay connected. Listen to this, y'all. Think about this. This man operated with basically impunity for almost his entire life. Then he had the who's who on his calendar. You don't think that
Rumler, the meetings in question all occurring after Epstein had served time in jail for a sex crime involving a minor back in 2008. Remember that? Fox News contributor Bill McGurn joins us now. Bill, we're looking at these names, and if we don't know them by name, we know the position of power. What does this tell you?
Well, it tells you that he was a very rich person, and when you're very rich, you have connections, and you...
No. What it tells you is that he was very connected, and as a result, he got even richer, and then he was able to operate with impunity and do what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it. And the minute that he started getting caught in that, catching that flack and that heat, I don't believe, even for a moment, I don't believe that even for a moment that anything that happened to him, let me stop short of saying that anything did or didn't, or there's some kind of conspiracy that comes along with it. I don't believe that anything that happened to him was a mistake. No way, no how. Because if anybody made him sing, he would probably take down the who's who and who didn't know who's who, whatever. I don't believe that anybody gets to certain levels without being connected in some way, shape, or form. Not even a little bit. This man had the greatest Rolodex that you could ever see in your entire life. Operating like crazy, moving nasty, filthy. And I believe that there's way more to the story, and we're not even going to get the tip of the iceberg. But the fact that we even got his calendar to know who these type of people are.
You have money, and other people want them, and that didn't change by his conviction.
You got Ehud Barak on this, so that's a little bit surprising. Doesn't mean necessarily he's into the unsavory part, but knows the guy has money. Martin Nowak of Harvard University, he's given millions to Harvard. You know, I also found it interesting, too, that this Bard College group, Bard College president Leon Botstein. Now, Bard College famously is supported, basically totally financed and propped up by George Soros. So you have an intertwining of two very controversial multimillionaires, billionaires.
Yeah, I think if you have a lot of money and you're friendly with any college president, you're going to be hit up for money. Look, a lot of these people were trying to extract money from him, and he gave it out. He probably gave it out to build up his credentials, you know, social credentials. And the only thing that's striking to me, again, the story made clear they weren't sure many of these meetings actually occurred. They were just scheduled. But what's amazing to me is that how the conviction and the time in jail for a really despicable act didn't really matter so much. You know, it was business as usual. But I guess that's what you can buy when you have a lot of contacts and a lot of money. And Jeffrey Epstein really cultivated that. He knew how to do it. That was the secret to his success.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really link these guys to
Hold on, let me
Epstein.
Epstein.
Look at this. Look at this list, y'all. The former Israel Prime Minister. The former Israel Prime Minister. This is crazy. Look at this list. Look at this who's who on this list. The former Israel Prime Minister, anthropologists, Harvard University professors. Oh, look at the person over in the upper right-hand corner. Part of the Rothschilds. Are you telling me we have a person that is literally a part of the Rothschilds? Let me be quiet before I get canceled. This was a part of his calendar. This is the who's who. Listen, we not talking about Lil Baby and Diddy and Dr. Dre and Jay-Z and Beyonce, all right? We're talking about how often do you actually get to see a Rothschild? How often do you actually get to see a Rothschild? Bard College president, Obama White House counsel, professor, CIA director, author, former Israeli prime minister, Harvard University. Come on, man. Come on, man. Seriously? Okay. All right. Keep playing games. Keep on thinking it's a game out here in these streets. It's different than you think it is. It's different than you think it is.
Really cultivated that. He knew how to do it. That was the secret to his success.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really link these guys to Epstein.
Epstein had a Rothschild in his calendar. Okay.
Island. There's no linkage there, unlike the black book that had turned up. But I'm really concerned about William Burns. You just worry about people being blackmailed. William Burns, former ambassador to Russia. William Burns is now the director of the CIA. I mean, you'd think he might have had a sixth sense to say, I probably want to stay a million miles away from this character.
Well, again, we don't really know what he was talking about. You know, I've heard rumors about Jeffrey Epstein's close ties with different countries in the Middle East.
Yep.
So we don't know, but it does look very unseemly. It looks like people are rushing to go see him. And again, for you and I, if we were convicted of that, I don't think we could get invited to a bingo hall. And Jeffrey Epstein.
Check this out. Check this out. Let's just mine this out, because nobody actually can tell me how he made his money, right? He has the who's who. He has a Rothschild and his whatever, so on and so forth, right? So I just did a little bit of digging. I did a little bit of research, right? And no, thank you. Let's pull this back a little bit. Let's pull this back. He made 200 million. 200 million. That's not a typo. He made 200 M's. I appreciate you, Vic Robinson. I'm going to be reading Super Chat shortly. 200 million 5 years after he registered as an offender. This is according to Business Insider, okay? Let's see what we got here. Hobnob with Donald Trump, the Clintons, British royalty, Hollywood. He was rolled with the Clintons, and he used his fortune. We all know how he was using his fortune. But little known where he came from. Epstein rose to prominence as the money manager of L Brands CEO Les Wexner. Vanity Fair reported a lengthy profile in 2011. He kept the client list and investments in his U.S. Virgin Islands-based firm. And everything is confidential. So nobody knows exactly how this man made money, right? He made over $200 million 5 years after he registered as an offender, but nobody knows where his original money came from. Then he just died mysteriously by, okay, cool. Let's see. He got his early start in finance at Bear Stearns. He said his fortune came from the fees he charged to his billionaire clients. That's very vague. Epstein refused to reveal his client list to Vanity Fair in 2003, and others saying that they all have assets in excess of $1 billion. That type of secrecy is unusual among top financiers. Look at this old man. Y'all trust this man right here? From L Brands. Epstein has also been paid to help clients recover money stolen from fraudulent brokers, lawyers, a review of a 1989 court documents from Vanity Fair sound. So this guy is just a myth. He lived in a townhouse in New York, valued at $77 million. Come on, man. His estate is worth $500 million. This is crazy. This is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. This is wild, bro. And he had a client list that included a Rothschild. All right. Okay. All right, I'm going. Let me read y'all super chats. I can't wait for more to come out because I'm kind of trying to wait until I get a certain thing before I start to really, really have a conversation about it because I don't like to have conversations based off of speculation. Shout out to Ash. Ash says, testing. Let's hear that car. I can't because if I show y'all my vocal capabilities, then y'all going to be saying that I have hidden talents and y'all going to be clipping it up. And then they're going to be using it as, what's the words that I'm using where they be doing a little clips or whatever? I can't be having y'all clipping it up. Y'all know the internet is forever. This is live stream. Somebody is probably screen recording this right now. Ash, I don't know about that. Vic Robinson says, Trump knows that's why they hate him. Keep doing your thing. Of course he knows. But here's the one caveat though, Vic. Do you think that Trump knows as a result of just knowing, or do you also think that Trump knows and he's a part of a lot of the different things that's happening out here in these streets? Sound bites, Crown, Sabrina. Yep, sound bites. Interesting. Thank you, Vic. I appreciate you for the 100 ball. Everybody supporting the platform. Ash says, 80, this is why I pay no attention to pro-blacks, Black Lives Matters, Antifa, etc. These folks are behind the scenes, keeping people at the bottom, focusing on race. Serving in the Department of Justice after 23 years, opening my eyes to how the world really works. It's classism. Let me ask y'all a question. Shout out to Ash for the 50 ball and shout out to Vic. I appreciate y'all for continuing to support the platform. Let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all think that it's possible? To ascend to the highest of heights? Do y'all think that it's possible to ascend to the highest of heights? without getting your hands dirty? Just a question. Just a question to think about and ponder. Do you think that it's possible to ascend, to become a billionaire? Do you think that it's possible to become a billionaire without moving just 100% completely above board? Above board. Do you think that it's possible to get to $100 million moving completely above board without getting your hands dirty in a general sense? Do you think that it's possible to move through these YouTube streets without getting your hands dirty? Do you think that it's possible to elevate to the top of corporate America without getting your hands dirty? Are you saying, right? Are you saying that it's not possible to ascend to the highest of heights without getting your hands dirty? Emmanuel, I did in the very beginning of the show. Thank you for asking. Even with real estate investing, I'm not sure. I'm determined to do so. And I'm going to do it transparently. 100 million, yes, we coming for it. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. If you have not already, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Starting tomorrow, you will probably see some subtle, if not a little bit more visible changes to what it is that you see displayed as a part of this show. It's going to be some awesome things. I love you guys, and thank you for continuing to rock with me. I am Michael Jordan. I am LeBron James. I am Steph Curry. Everything I touch turns to gold. Everything I touch and I'm going to be a part of is going to turn to gold. If you guys are not rocking out with a group of people that's going into the direction that you're going in, make sure you tap in with me because it's going to be awesome. I guarantee you, I promise you, as we continue to evolve, it's going to be an incredible ride. It's going to be an incredible ride. Make sure that y'all tap in with Q's show tonight. We got an incredible show lined up for you guys. I think that you are going to enjoy it. I can't wait to meet you all as a part of the Patreon on the webinar tomorrow night and over this weekend. And I promise you that I'm always going to be absolutely transparent with my thoughts, with the amount of money that I make, and my intentions on continuing to add value into your life. I thank you for always riding with me and rocking out with the journey. And I look forward to us continuing to do great things. But I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get up out of here. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. I love you. I appreciate you. You are only witnessing the tip of the iceberg. Anton from Anton Daniels are going to run the numbers up significantly. You guys are awesome. I think that you are the most phenomenal. I have a great show. Before we get up out of here. Tomorrow on the Millionaire Morning Show. I have Shanquilla Robinson's family lawyer coming to join us, give us some insight, information, and to help us to understand a little bit more. I told y'all I wasn't done with the Shanquilla Robinson thing. Shanquilla Robinson's lawyer has agreed to come on the live stream, and we have some great guests that I've been working on both the Anton Daniels channel and the Millionaire Morning Show. We going to another level on this channel. All right. Tomorrow, we are going to have Shanquilla Robinson's family lawyer come on and have a conversation and keep us up to date on what's going on with the state of things. Make sure you tuned in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It is going to be an awesome show every single day. I promise you, I'm going to put my all into this thing. Let me read a couple more super chats. Ash says, 80 last point. This is why I pay attention to people that feel a certain way about my wife of 16 years being white, because I know the truth. Classism, Jesus, and the Matrix. Shout out to your wife. Shout out to your people. I love you. All right, look, listen, Q. Thank you, Ash, and I think that that's absolutely awesome. Q, I tell you what, as a part of the intro, if they come into the Q show on the Anton Daniels channel on the other channel at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight, I might have a couple vocals for the intro for them. Doing it live. Make sure y'all show up for Q's show tonight. Anton, I'm not going to promise, but if the right people come through and y'all showing love, I might show up and hit y'all with that Carl Thomas verse. The whole verse, nothing but the verse tonight. But I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful and rich by ourselves. If you're not a part of the Patreon, if you're not a part of the Bag Chasers, you really missing out. You missing out on the greatest thing and the greatest, the beginning, the tip of the iceberg of what is going to be one of the greatest takeovers of YouTube in history. You on the ground floor, ladies and gentlemen. Let's run this bag up. I'll see y'all in the Patreon tomorrow night, and I'll see y'all on Q's show tonight. I love y'all. Till next time. Peace.